Welcome to this edition of Morgan You Asked For podcast. 1st of October. We have flipped to October. It is supposed to be the fall, but it's still almost 90 degrees here today and tomorrow and Friday here in Iowa. So it does not feel like fall yet, but I just got back from Vermont yesterday, or actually like Monday night really late. And it is fall there. It was still very warm, but the leaves are changing. I saw today where it was a high of 58 there, so definitely fall there today. Great time. Brother got married, beautiful, on a lake, mountains around, drove around. Never been to Vermont. We talked about that last week. Absolutely beautiful. Just way different part of the country. I did not realize when we got up there, we were only like 20 miles from Canada. That's how far north we were there, and Vermont's not very big, so we kind of drove around most of Vermont throughout the weekend, but where we were staying on the lake and everything, 20, 25 miles from Canada. Like when they go to the city to go do stuff, they go to Montreal. They're only about a little over an hour from Montreal. So just kind of weird how, crossing the border, going into Canada is no big deal for them.
Yeah, what was your do you have any favorite highlights of the week up there besides the wedding, of course?
Yeah, the wedding. I will say this. So I'm on our flights. I had tight layovers. Philadelphia, Saturday morning. We left at 6 a.m. here. We were in Vermont at noon, so 11 o'clock here. So it's real smooth, 15, 20-minute layover was all. Then on the way home, we were a little late taking off in Vermont, and we went to Charlotte and then came back to Des Moines. And we literally walked from our plane, stopped to go to the bathroom, and we got to our gate when they were calling our boarding group. So 0 time in between. Perfect. But definitely left it no margin for error. We had a little bit of error there, but we took it up. But everything was perfect that way. Got home about 11 o'clock. Monday night here back to Des Moines. We drove around Vermont on Monday. Like I said, we didn't leave till like 6:30, so we had all day Monday to do whatever. And we went through the mountains. They're not real tall mountains. They're 3,000 to 5,000 feet. They're definitely a mountain. But I didn't realize, so the Von Trapp family, which is a Sound of Music family, moved there to Stowe, Vermont, which we went there, went to their brewery and saw their residents and everything. And they are getting ready for skiing. They're getting ready for their big time of year. You could see them, just preparing. And there was a lot of people there. There are a lot of people there this time of year because we looked. This is supposed to be their peak, color, leaf turning. And everybody goes there and looks at the trees and leaves. They're about a week behind because they've been super dry. Like the lake, their docks are out. Nobody has their boats in because there's no water. Their docks are so low that you have to put them in and out right now. You can't leave them on your docks on the lifts because it's just too far down. It's probably 6-7 feet down from normal. So they are about a week away from the peak foliage or whatever they call it out there. So that was the only little bit of downside. Drove by Ben & Jerry's where they, make Ben & Jerry's ice cream. It's there in Stowe or right around Stowe, Vermont. But just way different part of the world that I've ever been to. Very neat. Brothers, him and his new wife did a great job. They've got, 6 kids between the two of them. Kind of a little bit untraditional. She has 3 boys, and then she adopted, not really adopted, but had a girl with almost like a foreign exchange student program. But then she never left, like stayed with her after her time there, went to Iowa State. Obviously still has a family. She's from China. Still has a family and everything there, but it is mom. And it's just, that's her American family. They live in Dallas, her and her husband. So they go from all the way, I believe she's like 26. Then my niece is 9. So a big age gap there with kids. And then there's they go all different ages. One's in college, one's like a senior, 2 in junior high, and then Evelyn, I think, is a 5th grader. So big age group, lots of people in their family. And then, just neat seeing her side of the family and just, the big question I had is what brought her to Iowa? Because she is from Vermont, and that's where she's from. They were driving around looking at colleges, and they were going through Iowa, I guess. It was kind of weird. And she saw a thunderstorm coming across from a long ways away, which if you see where we were at there, it's mountains and lakes. I mean, it's just valleys. It's more like Colorado. So you can't see anything coming. It's just not. And she thought that was really weird, really neat. And so she went to Northwestern in Orange City to college from Vermont, and then met her ex-husband, and started a family and has lived in Des Moines ever since. But just kind of a weird story. That was one of my things is what made her come to Iowa. And she went to Northwestern College in Orange City.
No, it sounds like it worked out well for your brother. Good thing she ended up there in Iowa. Yeah. And yeah, that's I saw some of the pictures you uploaded. It looks like a really cool area. We're having the same thing, and I drove through Colorado earlier this week, and it took about an hour longer than it's supposed to because all the tourists are coming in. Yep. So you drive through the mountains and see the colors of the trees changing. So that's a little bit frustrating with all the extra traffic, but it is what it is. So no, glad sounds like the flights went well, better than your last time flying to Indianapolis anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. We weren't supposed to go to Indianapolis at all, but we ended up there. Yes. No one died on the planes and everything was smooth. So yeah, it's a win-win for the airlines. American is better than Allegiant, I guess.
Yeah, that's probably right. But no, that's glad everything went good. That's one of the few parts of the country I still got to get to: Alaska, Hawaii, and then that upper Northeast. So that's pictures look beautiful from up there.
Yeah, I'd been to Washington, D.C. That was the closest I got. So I'd never been up there either. And it was just kind of, from Philadelphia, it's where we were is really straight north of New York City. We flew out of Philadelphia, and you could just see we followed the Hudson River up all the way. And that's what along Lake Champlain, it's just the Hudson River all the way up the east side of New York or west side of New Hampshire or Vermont. I mean, it's just kind of, and right across the lake where they lived was the state of New York. We were right on the border there. It's real neat. Not very far from Lake Placid. It's not easy to get there because you got to go across a big lake. I think we looked it up. It's the 12th biggest lake in the U.S. So, yeah, it was neat. You almost wish you could spend a little bit more time there, but is what it is. Come back. And then yesterday came back, had our conference golf meet, and then we actually won our conference golf meet. So the Tumble Bulldogs, they did a great job yesterday. And then I got golf again tomorrow and Friday and Monday. And then that will be most likely the end of that.
I saw you posted about the golf team, so congrats on that. It sounds like you got a few more meets coming up, and then how long does the season last for?
So our districts are Monday. If we have our team won't go on, we don't have a good enough team. We have a couple individuals that if they play really well would have a chance. We're going to a course we haven't been. They are going this weekend to play practice round. But we're going to have to play really well to have a chance of anybody going there. But our kid, he got second yesterday. Another one got, I think, tied for third or fourth. Those two, if they play well, you're going to have to shoot even par, maybe even one under to go, I believe. They have a chance. They have to play well. Obviously, if you have to shoot par, you just can't make any mistakes.
Well, hopefully they pull out that European Ryder Cup in them and just drain every putt that they're looking at.
Yeah, so I had that last on the list, but since we just brought it up, let's go ahead and just talk about the Ryder Cup. When you look at the end of the day, it was 15-13. It was a close, but it was not close. And I don't know what needs to be done. But the U.S. has to figure out something on Friday and Saturday with the team aspect of it. For whatever reason, our guys cannot do that. I mean, Scotty Scheffler couldn't do anything right, really. I mean, he played okay, and he won enough, but just they're all missing putts that they don't miss. And then Europe makes every single putt. Now, when it went to individual and they're playing just like they normally do on a regular weekend, on a regular Sunday, our guys play really well. Actually, I thought for a second there we were going to have a chance. If Henley makes that putt or Lowry doesn't make it, we're in a complete and utter dogfight. And that half a point, that's a whole different argument that we had to split because Hovland got hurt, which that's a questionable thing in my book anyway. But that was going to really come into play. And I guarantee the PGA and Ryder Cup Europe was very, very thankful that it didn't come down to a tie.
Let's start with that half point real quick that Hovland had the injury. To me, that was the rules in place before the tournament started. That's fine. And they've got 2 years to fix it. So it needs to be changed. And in my opinion, there's only two options. One, if one of your players gets hurt in the Friday and Saturday sessions, that's fine. You just make another player play more than expected because you can mix and match the teams. And then in the individual, you lose that point. Right. Or the second option is before the tournament starts, each team names one of their vice captains as a reserve player for injury for the United States, for example. Could have been Gary Woodland, and it can only be used in case of an injury or an emergency. You can't just sub them because somebody's playing bad. So those should be the only two options. Since the rule is in place before the tournament starts, it's fine. They've got 2 years to change it. It's outdated like a lot of golf rules. So those would be my two. I think those are only two options that should be available moving forward.
Yeah, 'cause it didn't come out of this, but just think if Bryson DeChambeau would have been in that envelope and then he doesn't play on Sunday. You got to be kidding me. I mean, just whether win, lose, draw, it doesn't matter. That's a whole different thing. He made a heck of a comeback to tie that match, but the real question is, why are you down 5 holes after 7? I mean, don't get down like that. But, yeah, just imagine, or say it was vice versa, and Rory doesn't play on Sunday. The two biggest names for their respective team. It worked out for the U.S. that it was Harris English, I think.
Well, it worked out because that name was put in there.
Right. I mean, I agree. It couldn't have been. It is random, but
I think when in that case, it's probably a behind the scenes. Hey, one of our guys is out. Who do you not want to play? Obviously, Harris English was playing about the worst of anybody. Him and Colin and a few others. But going back to what the United States need to do. Too many laid-back personalities on this team, in my opinion, and too much going by the world golf rankings. I think you can throw the world golf rankings out the window anymore. I'd maybe have 2 or 3 automatic qualifiers. Even with that, even if you had no automatic qualifiers, you're still going to take 4 of the 5 of the best players in the world anyway on their rankings. It's just going to work out that way. But we need some more guys. I mean, they've got a Justin Rose who's been around forever. Where's our Justin Rose? We don't have like a veteran like that right now. No. Patrick Reed, Brooks Koepka, I'd like to see them on the team. Those are fiery guys. Jordan Spieth, I mean, Billy Horschel, Max Homa, Brian Harmon. Some of those guys have a little bit more energy. I mean, it was basically Bryson and Justin Thomas with the energy, and it felt like the Europeans had 7 or 8 guys just – now they were playing better. That has a little bit to do with it. But too many laid-back personalities, in my opinion, which is good for an individual – all the other golf tournaments throughout the year, that's perfect because those guys are calm. But this is a Ryder Cup. This is different. This is the Waste Management Open on steroids. So, yeah, just because you win a regular tournament or do well in some of these tournaments throughout the year doesn't necessarily mean you should be on the team. You got to be able to handle these crowds, people chanting. Obviously, when we go over there,
it's going to be bad.
Yeah, we're going over to their version of Augusta National. I don't know if you've seen pictures of that course. It looks awesome. I didn't know anything about it until this past week, but it looks probably one of the coolest courses I've seen. America's got to shake some things up. It was almost an all-time comeback. Saturday, I kept watching, and then Sunday I woke up and I was like, I'll watch a little bit, and it turned out that was the only thing I could watch. I could barely even watch any football because the Ryder Cup was so entertaining, and again, we only get it every 2 years.
Yeah, I watched a lot of it. I mean, I really did, even though it was a blowout. And then Sunday, obviously, it wasn't a blowout, and it was like you're just kind of watching there, watching. It's like start doing some math, and holy smokes, it's going to get real close. And Henley puts it to 12 feet or whatever he did, and then Lowry sticks it to 8 feet, and I'm like, well, it doesn't matter. Henley just makes the putt, and it doesn't. And then, but it is what it is. You know, you cheer for Rory. I like watching Rory. I do like him. I like Lowry. Hatton is hilarious. I just love watching him because he's so fire and he gets, I mean, it's great. And that's how he is all the time. He's really no different in the Ryder Cup than he is during the week. If he hits a bad shot, you'll know it. He'll cuss everything out. But John Rahm is just phenomenal. I know they weren't playing the best golf, but we needed Patrick Reed, Brooks Koepka. I even think a Dustin Johnson would have been okay. I mean, he's been there. He's just been there before. He's a major champion. He's been on winning Ryder Cup teams. You know, he was one of the real fun ones at Whistling Straits. You know, I remember them talking to him. He was already drunk 20 minutes after it was over, and you know, he'll party with the best of them, and he'll make it interesting. And then right or wrong, I do think we need to figure out. I don't know if Tiger just doesn't. He knows if he's there, everybody's just focused on him. But Tiger needs to be a part of this stuff. Even if he cannot play, he needs to be there for Team USA in person. I really believe that.
Well, another aspect of it, too, we talked about before the tournament even started. Keegan Bradley was put in a tough position. Obviously, he should have been playing. He's another fiery guy that could be on the team. Yeah. He'd have a lot.
He should have played himself. And I know he didn't. I just don't think he wanted to. I think he knows he should have been because he's one of the better players. But he just felt he couldn't do justice to it. And it just wasn't right. No one's been a playing captain for 30 years or whatever it is. But looking back, and then the other thing is, and he's admitted to this, whoever set up that golf course was not good. Those greens were way too soft. Just way too many putts made. Now, obviously, the U.S. didn't make any in the first 2 days, but Europe was making every single putt, and that should not happen at arguably the hardest golf course in America.
Yeah, the setup was a little bit strange, and you know, that's an easy one to look back on. I mean, again, going to the team, I mean, the first guy I'd have off is Colin Morikawa. He would not have been on the team. He hasn't been able to talk to the big, bad, scary golf media all year. If that's too much of a problem for you, then you're not even cut out for something like this, even though he's won a major before. And he played good with Dustin Johnson, like you mentioned back in, I think, 2016 or whatever year it was, where he was partners there. Colin can't be on the team. If the golf media is too scary for you, then you got no business being in this. And he didn't play well. Harris English is just too many laid-back personalities, in my opinion. As I text you and Zach and Cody, just a bunch of walking zombies out there, which is good for individual stroke play tournaments. For this, it's the opposite personality I think you need for it.
Yeah, I mean, I just even he didn't have Koepka or Dustin Johnson, or I know people don't like Patrick Reed, but those guys at least should have been vice captains. You know, I mean, it's one of those, you got to have some of these guys at least around. Gary Woodland, great story, comes back from brain surgery, tumor, whatever. But he's not a fiery guy either. I mean, just no one's a fiery guy over the whole team. Like you said, probably the fieriest guy is Keegan.
Yeah, he probably is. But we'll see if the American players on the PGA Tour can get over their little temper tantrums with the live golfers. Obviously, the European team didn't have any problem with their live golfers being on there. So that's a whole nother decision that has to be made. But yeah, Patrick Reed should have been on the team. DJ's been playing like crap.
Right.
But
I agree.
Let's hope 2 years from now that Reed, Brooks, DJ, some of those guys are playing better. And you have to, I'm sure Keegan's got a formula figured out, and whoever the captain is 2 years from now. But obviously, live tours should not be counted the same points wise as a PGA Tour event, because it's only 3 days and the fields are smaller. But you've got to have some sort of point system made up where if a Patrick Reed wins a live tournament, that should be 30, 40, 50% points like winning a PGA tournament. And that should help close the gap if you're looking in world golf rankings rather than just the majors and stuff like that. So we need those guys to play better, the live guys. Patrick Reed did play really well at the Masters. He finished solo third, I think it was. So
Yep.
I'd like to see Reed back on the team. It'd be good to see Jordan Spieth start playing well again. He's a fiery guy too. Hopefully this is a good wake-up call for the American players, though, and it really becomes a 2-year goal for the American players, because you could tell it was a 2-year goal for the Europeans.
Who should be the captain?
I mean, a lot of people brought up Tiger Woods, as you just did a few minutes ago, that he should be involved.
Yeah, he probably should be the captain. I don't think he will be yet, but he's never going to be good enough to play anymore, I don't think. Now, this is essentially, this type of event is perfect for him. Play him once on Friday, play him once on Saturday, and then play him Sunday. It's just 18 holes a day. So, this is an event I believe he could play. But he's got to be able to play enough and prove that he can. I don't know. He doesn't even have to prove anything. He should just say, I'm eligible. If you want to pick me, pick me. I mean, that's what it needs to come down to. If he's not the captain. Now, if he's a captain, then it makes it different. But if he is healthy enough to play, he needs to play, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds nice. It would be nice. I'd love to see him play. But even if Tiger's quote unquote healthy, one wrong swing with him, and all of a sudden you got a Victor Hovland situation, and maybe in 2 years losing a point. So it'd be a little bit nerve wracking. You definitely want to see Tiger come back and play in some actual tournaments, of course, and prove that he is healthy. But even if he doesn't play as a player, it'd be good to have him there as a captain. I don't know. You can tell Keegan cares about it. I don't know if he'll get a chance again. It'd be really nice if Keegan plays good the next 2 years is a player on the team, and then the captain is whoever. Phil already said he's not going to do it. He's done with the Ryder Cup. I think he sent out a tweet about that. I
think Phil's done with golf. I mean, in reality, he's just done. He made his choice to go to live. It didn't really work out for him. I mean, it was okay. He got paid a lot of money. So, I mean, I'm not going to say it didn't work out for him, but it didn't work out golf-wise for him.
Yeah, he got his money. He did what he wanted to do. So he obviously got paid a lot. It'd be nice if he was playing good too a bit. Maybe have our little version of our Justin Rose in a way, an older veteran that's played in a bunch of these. But yeah, I don't know who the captain's going to be next year, in 2 years from now, I should say. But hopefully they find someone that can handle the job. And again, we've got to mix it up. We've got to shake the tree a little bit with this American team. It can't just be the automatic qualifiers and then the next however many top world golf rankings. You got to have the personality for it.
Agreed. All right, let's go to our next one. Let's go to college football first here. Cyclones, let's just start there. Real dominant win against Arizona, previously unbeaten. Really never in doubt. Arizona had a good first drive, went down, missed a field goal, and then Iowa State just scored. Won by a lot. But the story of the game is injuries. On Wednesday or Thursday, I don't remember which day for sure, Jeremiah Cooper tore his ACL in practice, done for the year. And then on Saturday evening, with about 2 minutes left in the game that is already over, starting quarterback is in, and he tears his ACL as well. He is out for the year. So down 2 starting quarterbacks, and this is trending to be the same thing that happened last year to our tight ends, where we were down to our 3rd, 4th string tight ends. Still won 11 games, still made it work, but it just makes it different. And 2 starting corners, one for sure NFL guy, Williams, the guy that got hurt this weekend, and Cooper is trending that way. The 2 guys behind him, Trey Bell, has played really well this last week, and with Cooper not being there. And then Taylor Jr. Has played some. I've actually seen him out there way more than I thought I would. They do like to rotate guys. I think those 2 guys are fine. They're not as good, but it's, kind of an A player to a B player. The issue now is the next guy is questionable. That's the issue. It's not these 2 guys. It's if they get hurt, or you just like to rotate guys. You don't want them playing every snap. And the next guy might be more questionable than would have been before. You go from an A player to a B player, you can usually do all right. So I do think John Haycock and the Cyclone defense is going to have to play a little differently. They're going to have to get more pressure on the quarterback because they can't expect these two guys to cover for 8 seconds like they did with the other two. And that's what they like to do. They rush 3. They kind of keep their lanes. If they get to the quarterback, great, but that's not what they're really expected to do. They have an 8-player zone where there's nothing really there, but you're running around and covering guys for a long, long time. And I don't know if you can expect it to be as successful with the next 2 guys as it was with the first 2.
Yeah, sort of the next man up. I didn't watch any of this game. Of course, I was paying attention on my phone just with the score. So obviously it's a big win for Iowa State. Keep that undefeated streak going. Now they're on the road at Cincinnati at Nippert Stadium. I think it's the 5th oldest stadium in a football stadium in America. It's probably one of the more underrated football stadiums, in my opinion. Kind of my bucket list is obviously Death Valley at LSU, Husky Stadium up in Washington. And this would be one of the smaller stadiums I'd love to get to someday. But I saw that Cincinnati is favored by 1.5 right now. So obviously injuries happen for every team. The Hawks got some, next man up. But it's we're still early. This is still the regular schedule, even in the old college football. But as we talked about before with the playoffs expanding, these seasons are getting longer and longer, and depth is going to become more important than ever, just like the NFL.
Yeah, and that's where, Matt Campbell brought up today in the press conference or right after the game, our kicker's still hurt. And this is, they're going down to 105 guys. And so you're definitely going to have to be a little bit more strategic. And that you can't just go, it's not like the NFL where you can go sign a guy off the street. You can't go sign a guy off the street in college football. You just have to deal with what you have. So I think there's certain coaches and hopefully athletic directors and just football people that are, especially like a kicker, like Iowa State's down 2 kickers. Like if you have 105 guys on your team and you're down 2 kickers, you really might not have another one on your team. Right now, there's still 125 guys on your team or whatever, so you do have that 3rd kicker. But if you truly have to get to 105, you can't be wasting spots with that many kickers. 3 kickers, 2 punters. Now you're down to 100. It's going to be difficult, or they're going to have to be able to almost like sign guys, like almost have a practice squad that's not the 105. But maybe still able to work out in the facilities and kind of almost like a JV team, where it's 20 guys. So you still have your 125. None of them are on scholarship, but they can practice and just work on their craft kind of on their own. And then if you need them, you call them up, I guess. I don't know. Maybe it's kind of what I was thinking. I was thinking about that the other day on the plane. Just maybe you have something like that where it's a true scout team / NFL practice squad type players, and you're able to call those guys up.
How was the kicking situation Saturday for Iowa State?
He did fine. So the first touchdown, it was kind of, I think they were playing games. Iowa State, they came. I know you know this. They came out in the swinging gate after they scored a touchdown. Everybody knows their kicking situation is very much up in the air. They come out in the swinging gate. And they went for 2 and made it. They snapped it off to the side, and Gabe Burkle, their tight end, ran it in. So I think it truly was game. They were like, they don't think we have a kicker. Went for, the swinging gate. So now every team's going to have to practice that. So that's just something else you gave on tape. It worked. You got the 2 points. And then from then on, he made every extra point. And they went, I don't remember what the distance was, but he made, I think, around a 35-yard field goal in the 4th quarter. I don't think they needed to kick that field goal. They probably normally would have maybe went for it. It was like 4th and 1 from the 20. But they needed to kick the field goal for his, just see what he can do. See if he can step up and he hit it right down the middle. You're not going to kick the 60-yarder with this kid, I don't think, like with Cromartie. But 35 and in, you have to make those. And I think he proved that. Now it wasn't a high pressure situation, so it is different, but he did show that he was asked to make every extra point. He did it. and he made his one field goal. So he did everything he could do.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be something to pay attention to going forward until they get healthy at the kicker position. I mean, yeah, 35 and in, you got to make those even in his position. Obviously, like you said, they're not going to be kicking 55 to 60 yarders, but you'd like to know, at the end of a game or end of a half, can you send them in there for a 42 or even a 45 yarder? At Cincinnati, again, a 1.5 point spread, this game may come down to a kick at the end of the game, and that's going to change your play calling on offense, like we talked about last week. If it's going to be like a 49 yarder, that changes you, and you got time for a couple plays. That's going to change things. So it's definitely that's a big concern for Iowa State still, besides the corner injuries.
Yeah, I mean those are the kicker for Iowa State. They're going to be in one-score games most of the time. That's just Iowa State and Iowa are the same team. It's just Kirk Ferentz 20 years ago. I mean that's what it is. Matt Campbell is Kirk Ferentz. Very, very close. And it's just going to be that way. And you have to rely on a kicker. Iowa State has missed and opportunities and kicks throughout the history, not just with Matt Campbell, but prior coaches as well. It's just part of it, and we have to step up. I mean, he needs to make – if he's asked to make a 32-yarder in the first quarter because we can't get it in, he's got to make that kick because in the end, it's going to be – maybe that down the road with 2 minutes left, now you're up 2, or maybe you're up 5 or 4 instead of 1. So now they have to score a touchdown instead of just a field goal to win. Those are things that matter. And as you said, you've got to know that range, and it changes the play calls. And just with the defense in general being injured right now, I think you have to plan on just getting you got to score more points. And having a good kicker is just part of that. I think Iowa State just is going to have to accept that they're going to have to score 40 a few times this year.
Yeah, and the field position battle is going to be big for Iowa State. There may be some times where you just got to punt the ball away and depend on your defense, even though you're down a couple corners. Now, the starting kicker, is there any word when he's coming back yet? Have you heard?
Well, Matt Campbell, you can't believe a word he says with injuries. He's week to week. But I'm pretty sure he said week to week with Trevor Downing several years ago, and everybody knew he broke his leg. He was going to be done for the year, and everybody knew that. But every week, he just said week to week. Now, obviously, starting tonight at 9 o'clock, right when we started, I haven't seen it yet. They do have to release an injury report. I'm sure he's going to be listed as out because he said he's not playing this week. I would guess he's not going to play this week. Probably not next week at Colorado. Then there's another bye week. So I would assume the 25th when BYU comes to town. If he's going to come back this year, I would assume that's the game.
Yeah, it'd be nice for Iowa State if they can get through this stretch undefeated, of course, and then get that second bye week and get a little bit healthier for their final stretch of the season. So, yeah, that's our was I going to ask you, what time is that game on Saturday? Is that it's
11 o'clock.
11 o'clock. Yeah. Okay.
Yep. And then next week at Colorado is a 2:30 kick.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of not the time I thought that one would get kicked off in Colorado. Speaking of Colorado, before we move on, they got fined, and anybody talking about that out there in Colorado, they're disparaging remarks towards the Mormons. Did you hear what they did, Trevor, or not?
I didn't hear the whole thing. I'm not sure exactly what happened. I saw a headline about some remarks, but again, it's my Facebook and Instagram. Every time you get on it, you see some headline of something, and it's just I can't keep up with everything. It's too much anymore these days. But I did see a headline. I didn't get into all the details though.
Yeah, I think they were saying some very disrespectful things about Mormons. So just the way we can go there. With that. Not going to bring really that up here. Just Penn State, James Franklin, just cannot. Drew Aller, I mean, he threw it right to him. I don't know what he was seeing. Oregon wins in Happy Valley. Alabama, 10 out of 11 against Georgia. It's just Alabama's not dead yet until they play Vanderbilt this week.
Yeah, for James Franklin, I mean, that's the last time I'm picking him against a big team. I mean, assuming they make it to the playoffs, if they're playing any of the Ohio States, Oregons, Alabama, Texas, I'm not picking Penn State anymore. It's just there's too much proof there that you had to win that game at home. The whiteout, the more experienced quarterback and team, that was really disappointing. I mean, I don't mind seeing Oregon win. I like Dan Lanning and like their team. And then, going over to the Alabama game, I was happy for DeBoer because I'm not a big Kirby Smart fan. So I was actually happy to see Alabama win that one. Even though I picked Georgia to win, I was happy to see Alabama get the W there and get back in contention. Alabama is actually the third favorite now to win the national title behind Ohio State and Oregon.
Alabama looked real good. Penn State Oregon game is just fun to watch. Oregon's fun to watch. They are good. I mean, obviously Lanning falls right off the Saban Kirby Smart tree. And did you watch his interview after the game? He is wired different.
Yeah. Yeah, he was all jacked up. I mean, his eyes were bulging out of his head. You could tell he's an intense guy, and Moore, their quarterback for Oregon, was phenomenal in that game. I thought Drew Aller, a lot of people compare to Josh Allen. I don't quite see that. The thing with Drew Aller is his stock's going to drop, and then when we get to combine time and you get his measurements, his stock's going to go back up.
Oh yeah,
so
he's going to be a combine superstar.
Mm-hmm.
And then when it comes down to it, he can't make a throw.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, he's got all the measurables that you want, but there's just something about him. I don't know. I don't know if I see it. Obviously, he's playing at Penn State, so he's. We'd love to have him at Iowa. Don't get me wrong. Speaking of Iowa, I know before we get to the NFL, Gronowski's injured. Iowa's on the bye, so that's good. And then it's at Wisconsin, a night game. Iowa's got to get that win. Probably because most importantly, after that, you've got Penn State at home and then Minnesota. If Iowa goes up and loses at Wisconsin, now you're really bringing a 7-5 type season, maybe even a 6-6 season in because you still got Penn State and Oregon. Those are both very losable games.
Yep. And
then, you got at USC. We know Kirk Ferentz and the Hawks don't do good out west. Nebraska will be a tough one at the end of the year, even though I think Iowa will win that. But really need to get this win at Wisconsin. After this bye week.
Yeah, it'll be real interesting to see if Gronowski is able to play. My hunch right now, I would say yes, but you never know. It was a knee, ankle, whatever. He was on the bike. They needed him really bad in that game. So you would think if he was able to go, I sure would have thought they would have put him back in because he would have given them a much better chance to win than Hank Brown. Hank Brown, I think, is a good quarterback. I think he's fine, but he's a completely different quarterback. So just your offensive play calls / what you want to do is different. And Gronowski was playing awesome. Iowa had a few chances to win. They still, even with the injury, Drew Stephen makes that field goal. It just changes everything. You're playing a little bit softer. You're probably not blitzing there, not one-on-one coverage. You miss a tackle and he's to the house. But if you know you have a lead and you can give up the field goal and you're not losing, you might not be playing man-to-man there. I don't know. I mean, there's times you got to bring pressure. I do like that. But that's not Phil Parker's specialty is bringing pressure. He likes to sit back there and cover 4 and just make you go 10, 12, 14 plays and make you make a mistake. That was the one Iowa had the chance. And for the first time in a long time at Kinnick Stadium, now that they had a chance to win and didn't make the right plays and didn't make the plays. The kicker didn't make the kick. They didn't make the tackle. Just the plays that were there, they didn't make them for the first time in a long, long time at Kinnick.
Yeah, to get the interception there toward the end of the game, run it back. They gave themselves a chance, as I told you, and as everybody, Iowa fans know, you give yourself a chance, a one-score game in the fourth quarter, you get a turnover like that. That's what Iowa does, and just weren't able to convert points after that. And again, got a little aggressive on defense. Phil Parker knows what the consequences would be. It turned out kind of worst-case scenario in that situation. But, yeah, it's a little disappointing. I mean, the Iowa State game, we talked about it with that ball in the air, and Iowa State came down with it and said Iowa. This game, we get the pick, but we can't make the kick and then give up the touchdown. It's the opposite of what usually happens is happening right now for the Hawks. So hopefully he can get as healthy as possible. And at Wisconsin's kind of a must win, a night game there at Camp Randall.
Yeah, if Iowa wins, is it Luke Fickell's last game as a Wisconsin coach? Coaches are getting fired right and left. I get it, but I don't. I know they need to get on top of things and get things in order and everything, but does it really change that much? And it's amazing, Bobby Petrino at Arkansas. Bobby rides again. Fired a whole bunch of assistants. UCLA fired their coordinator today. Their interim coach fired their guy. Oklahoma State fired one of their defensive guys. So there's a lot of money being paid right now to coaches during the season to not coach because they're getting paid through the rest of the year. It's one thing to get fired at the end of the year and not paid for future time, but these guys are getting paid for the rest of this year as well and not coaching. And these guys have already been fired. Once you fire the head coach, essentially everybody's fired or will get bought out. And then, until you talk to the new coach, I mean, most of the time, every coach keeps one or two guys. That's just now you may change job responsibilities. You may be an on-field coach now. And now with the big stat, you may get off the field now, or you were a coordinator, but now you're just going to be the D-backs coach or whatever it might be. But it's just surprising that these coaches, but also I can't blame them. These guys maybe want the full-time job, so they got to feel they got to make it the best they can and put the best foot forward. I know Bobby Petrino would love the Arkansas job. I don't know how you give it to him unless he has the backers, if he has the Tyson Foods and the Walmart money behind him, then he's got a chance. But other than that, I think that's a really hard sell.
Yeah, well, I mean, I told you over a month ago, John Gruden's a name to keep an eye out for.
Yep.
So I think he'll be in play for Arkansas and Florida. And it's really two things. If he has an offer from both schools, Arkansas is going to have the money. Florida's going to have the more talent in state. It'll depend what he wants there. If let's assume he gets offered both jobs, what do you take? Do you take keeping the Florida athletes there at Florida in their area of the state, or do you go to Arkansas where you're going to have more money? It's a smaller program, of course, but Gruden's name's starting to heat up again already. I think he's going to be coaching college football next year.
So here's another question for you. I think for a more of a Florida type job. I don't think Arkansas. I don't think UCLA. But when Florida opens, would James Franklin go to that job just to get out of Penn State? Just get out of there before the pitchforks come to him.
It'd be tough because he does such a great job recruiting at Penn State, brings in a ton of talent. We've seen the former players, too, that he's brought in. Their kids, of course, Abdul Carter and some of the others. I don't know. He wouldn't go to Arkansas probably.
No, I don't think.
We're talking Florida.
Florida
would be in play because of the type of athletes you could get there in the state. Yep. Even though Florida State and Miami are doing good right now, they're in different parts. Florida's a massive state as far as athletes go. So he could, I'm sure he'd do a hell of a job recruiting at Florida. The problem is, though, is if he goes there, the first 2.5 years, he's not beating top 5 or top 10 SEC schools. He's going to be ran out of there in 3 or 4 years max.
Right.
So that'd be an interesting name. I'm sure they're going to look at him. They definitely have to. But Florida job, yeah, I don't know who they're going to go after. Again, I think Gruden's name is going to be in the mix, though, for a couple of these jobs. Not the UCLA job. That's a bottom 5 job in the Big Ten right now.
Yeah, you could make an argument that it might be about the worst. I mean, obviously Northwestern and Purdue are not good, but that UCLA job's bad. You're second fiddle in your own town. You're traveling.
Chip Kelly left as a head coach to go be a coordinator at Ohio State. He saw the writing on the wall. UCLA is not as committed to football and NIL as USC is. And again, it's Southern California. There's a lot to do. If the college team isn't doing well, people don't go to the games. I was there at that Iowa game last year. The stadium wasn't even half full, and there was a ton of Hawkeye fans. So that's a very laid back, casual fan base. I'd say Northwestern, Purdue, UCLA, and I don't know, maybe Maryland. I guess those would be the bottom ones of the Big Ten. It's when we were growing up, And back in the day, UCLA was a big time job. It's not that anymore though.
Yeah, well, Terry Donahue was a coach in the late '80s, early '90s. I mean, UCLA would win the Pac-10, Pac-8, whatever it was then. And I remember them watching them play Michigan or Ohio State in the Rose Bowl, and it was great. They were playing in their home stadium. They had the great blue uniforms. It was. USC UCLA was huge too. It was just a huge uniform game, and it's just fallen so much. And I just think those teams left for money, and they are learning. And even USC traveling to Illinois and losing on a field goal. I do think USC will be fine, but them going to the Big Ten sucks just for them. I don't think they knew what it all would entail with all the travel and just the time changes and just the difference in atmospheres that even a place like Illinois has right now compared to all the Pac-12 schools that used to be there, Cal and Stanford and Washington State. Just they aren't crazy about football like the Midwest is. They just aren't.
It's tougher, but it's better financially for them. It'll be better in the long run. But yeah, it's better.
They had to do
better
it.
Than going up to Corvallis and playing in front of 30 or 40,000 fans at Oregon State. It's better than playing Cal or Stanford where they just don't care. It's going to take them a while to get used to the Big Ten, but financially it's going to help out their schools even more because they're getting way more money than they were getting in the Pac. So it was the right move, but it's going to take them a while. The travels for those schools going east, it's going to be tough, but it's going to be the same for the schools in the Midwest going out there, as we talked about with the Hawkeye struggles under Kirk Ferentz going west. So it's going to work both ways, but yeah, they're going to have to, for those schools, Oregon's fine. And I think Washington is on the right track. USC, they're going to have to just beef up those offensive and defensive lines. If they can do that, they could compete. But I wish I would have heard Lincoln Riley complaining about the start time before I picked USC to win that game. Because after I heard that, I was like, dang, he's already making excuses. So it's going to take him a little bit of time. But I thought USC, they did have a chance. Obviously, they scored a little bit too soon. But the UCLA, though, going back to them, that's I don't know who wants that job.
I would take it. If they offered it to me, I'd take it. But it'd be tough and just fire me real soon. And I think that's what it's going to take. They went with the UCLA guy, Deshaun Foster. I think now you got to maybe think outside the box to maybe an FCS guy or an older, almost like a Willie Fritz at Houston. I mean, I don't think but a 60-year-old guy that has never really had a big-time job and just see if he can just, a Lance Leipold at Kansas, those type of coaches that are just lifelong coaches, won everywhere you've been to several spots, but maybe never had the Big Ten job or the SEC job or even a Big 12 job, and give him a chance. Know that it's only going to be 5 to 10 years, even if he stays in and successful, just because he's going to retire or whatever. But at least he can get your program on solid ground to pass it over to a new guy to go forward and maybe be successful. I think that's what you got to look for.
They're not going to get any of the top candidates. So like you said, they're going to have to go over a coordinator at a smaller school or at a smaller division. And if you can go 6-6 or 7-5 at UCLA, you'll be the head coach for a long time. But yeah, UCLA is not even in the picture right now for any of the top candidates, NFL, college, anybody like that.
Coming up this weekend, this coming weekend is not a good weekend in football. Not a lot of big-time games. Alabama, Vanderbilt is just interesting. I do think Alabama will win very handily against Vanderbilt, especially after last year. They've got a lot to prove. They're re-energized now. We're back. I just think that's really the big game.
Texas at Florida. We got to see how Arch Manning does finally.
So I just think Florida's so bad that I don't think it matters.
It matters how Arch plays. He can't be throwing balls on the ground and having the weird wrist action. I'm excited to see how he plays. He can't look like he's an Iowa quarterback out there. He's got to look better than that. So I don't care if Florida's already given up. Arch has got to look good, or he's got to at least look capable.
I suppose we'll watch Arch. We don't care about the game because Arch could play bad and they're still going to beat Florida.
Well, we'll see. That the Swamp's a tough place to play. If he goes out there and throws 2 or 3 picks, that may be a ball game quicker than expected. So we'll see how that one goes. But I'm interested to see how Arch looks. Hopefully he plays well.
What time is that game? Do you know?
I think it's a 1:30 my time, so 2:30 Iowa, I believe.
Yeah. All right, let's go ahead. Let's transition to the NFL. Kind of turn that over to you. I think I've heard more people this week talk about the Chiefs being now the best team in the NFL again, and it just baffles me. Now, we both talked about this. They've had a really tough schedule. They've came out of it pretty good. I mean, it's not perfect, but are they one of the top teams now, or is it maybe the Ravens are really bad? I don't know. I don't know. They're not. Their defense is not good.
Now the Ravens are really bad right now, but the Chiefs are trending in the right way. They got Worthy back. That's going to help. Bryce is going to be back in a couple weeks. They still got to find a running game. We'll see how their rookie had a few good plays. Once the receiving core gets a little bit more established, I think they're going to be okay there. The Chiefs, though, I mean, they're 9-1 to win the Super Bowl right now. They were 11-1 a week ago. If you want to get them, now's the time to get them. And for me right now, the Bills, the Chargers, and the Chiefs would be the top 3 teams in the AFC. Just because I think Kansas City is going to get it going. They're just too good. The defense is better than I think people are giving them credit for. They've just had a tough time because the offense struggled so much the first few weeks. And now that the offense is clicking, even though they played Baltimore, Kansas City is going to get it figured out. There's too much Hall of Fame veteranship on that team between Andy Reid, Mahomes, Kelsey, Chris Jones, Spags. They're going to get it figured out and be a playoff team. So, but the Ravens are really bad. Their defense is as bad as it gets in the NFL right now, and Lamar's dinged up. I told you last week this Bengals team may just be this Ravens team may be the Bengals of last year. Great explosive offense, terrible defense, and you miss the playoffs.
Yeah. So that's definitely the way it's trending. Lamar doesn't sound like he's not going to play. I've not made my pick yet this week. I did see one of your teams is gone on our. You have the Packers, right?
Yeah, so I got 4 left. We're losing about 13 people a week, so
right.
Really the goal for everybody is to get to about week 9, week 10. If you're still in, then you're doing really good. So a popular one's going to be tomorrow night, the Rams hosting the 49ers. Let's get into that one. Brock Purdy's out, Kittle's out. The 49ers' top 4 receivers are going to be out. That includes Ayuk. So obviously we know Bosa's already injured. The Rams are pretty healthy compared to the 49ers for sure. And I think that one's already up to 7.5 or 8 point spread right now. So it's Mac Jones is going to get the start. That's going to be a tough one. I'll probably pick the Rams, at least for one of mine, but it does make me a little bit nervous because anytime you count a team out because they have a bunch of injuries,
I know
they end up making a game close. But it's a short week. It's on the road. The Rams, to me, are one of the top 3 teams of the NFC right now. So the Rams really need to win this one to give themselves a little bit of they need to start racking up some W's because that division is going to be tough. And now's the time to take advantage of the 49ers.
Yeah. What the biggest spread? What was I looking at today? What's the biggest spread? I know the 49ers with a couple of the announcements that they're not playing today, but there was one of them that was a huge.
The Bills is a big spread. Yes. The Colts hosting the Raiders is 7.
Yeah. The Bills and Patriots is an interesting one to me. Obviously, it's a big spread. I do think the Bills win. Like that was my first instinct one, but it's a conference game. The Patriots just scored a bunch of points last week, so I do think it scares me a little bit. Just like the 49ers and the Rams. That's my other one that I might pick. I think I'm down to those 2 games. And they both just scare me a little bit. Which one do you think I should do, Trev?
Well, I might be having one of each since I've got 4. So it's a tough decision because those are divisional games that make you scared. The Patriots, to me, are the AFC team right now that I think can maybe start going on a little bit of run. I don't know if they're going to win this week, but their schedule opens up after they play the Bills. Again, the Bills' defense has not been great by any means. The Saints gave the Bills all they wanted last week. They're in Buffalo. That game was closer longer than anybody was hoping for. Bills were one of my picks, of course, and the Saints made a ball game of it. The Patriots, I believe, spent the most money in free agency, new coaching staff, rookies, new coordinators. They've had kind of a turbulent first month with penalties and just some weird things going on. But you wonder if the Patriots are about ready to start hitting their stride. And yeah, I'll probably have one Bills, one Rams. But yeah, they both make me nervous because they're divisional games.
Is Jalen Daniels going to play for Washington?
I don't think so.
So that's another one. The Chargers if he's not playing, I think that makes that, at least you got to think about it. I still have the Chargers, which I know a lot of people probably picked them, but I still have the Chargers.
Yeah, I guess I didn't see. I haven't looked at if Jaden's playing. It's only a 2.5-point spread, so that makes me believe that Jaden Daniels is going to play in that one, since it's only 2.5. So there's some other games. I mean, the 49ers are the Ravens are hosting the Texans, even though they got a backup quarterback. They kind of need to win that one because they've got the Rams the week after that. The Ravens could really be in a hole here soon. Bucks at Seahawks, that's a big game. Both the Seahawks are a 3.5-point spread. Their Seahawks are at home. And then, of course, the Chiefs and Jags on Monday night. The Jags offense isn't quite clicking, but their defense, I believe, had 3 takeaways in every game this year. So I'll be interested to see how the Chiefs offense looks on the road against that Jags defense.
Yeah, I've already picked the Seahawks, so I can't pick them. But Tampa could go in there. I love watching Baker Mayfield play. I know they don't win every game, but he is just a gamer. And I believe we talked about that last week, but I love watching him play football.
Yeah, Baker's really fun to watch. If it wouldn't have been for that blocked punt, they may have even had a better chance versus the Eagles. The Eagles are a weird team right now. They've had 2 of the worst halves of football and offense of any team in the league this year. I think Jalen Hurts had 0 passing yards in the second half versus the Bucs. A.J. Brown's getting mad. And really what it's going to come down to for the Eagles is what happens when they lose a game finally or lose a couple. What's A.J. Brown going to do? That situation is one to pay attention to there. So, yeah, and, I saw the Monday night game sucked. The good thing is here in a couple weeks, week 6, the primetime games, we got Lions at Chiefs Sunday night. And then we do have another Monday night doubleheader, but a better one. We've got Bills at Falcons. And then, of course, we've got the Bears going to Washington, where both those teams, their season flipped last year on that Hail Mary, because the Bears were actually doing good at that point, record-wise, and both their seasons went the opposite direction. Speaking of your Bears, they got to win. It was ugly, but I don't care. It's 2 wins in a row, so that's what the Bears are looking for. Still a lot of penalties and pre-snap things they got to get cleaned up, but 2 wins in a row, they get their bye week, and then they're at Washington. So if you can turn this into 3 wins, even if it's ugly, the Bears are starting to get back on track a little bit.
Yeah, you just got to win, and it's just confidence. Winning breeds more winning. I mean, it's craziness, and then as you just said, last year losing breeds more losing. Washington just went up and up and up and made, obviously, upset made it to the playoffs and won a game, and then obviously the Bears won like one game the rest of the way.
Yeah, it's I don't know. The Bears are weird right now, but it feels better than it felt last year. It feels like they got the right coach. Caleb's playing better. It was a good win for him, even though it was ugly. That's typically a game that the Bears lose. So even though it wasn't pretty, you've won 2 straight now and a chance to make it 3. Maybe get a little bit of revenge at Washington for what happened last year.
And the renderings came out of the stadium, and I saw the first comment was, "Thank you, Las Vegas Raiders, for showing us how to design a stadium. We designed the same thing."
Well, it's the same group that designed the Raiders Stadium, so there's a reason that it looks the same. But it's all these stadiums that go up now, except MetLife. I mean, that's the worst built newer stadium out there. Brett and I have been joking around about that. The Giants and the Jets built the worst modern football stadium that there is out there right now. So no matter what the Bears do, I'm sure it's going to look pretty awesome.
Yeah. All right. Anything else with the NFL, Trev?
That's probably good enough for for this week, I think, with the NFL. We'll probably have a lot more to talk about next week. Trade deadline will be coming up in November. So I think after this week, if any of these teams lose another game, obviously the bad ones, it's going to be time to start selling off some pieces. So I think next week we'll probably have a lot more rumors coming around about potential players that are on the trade block.
Do you think the Chiefs go get a running back?
I think they have to look at it. Now, the tough thing for the Chiefs, I know I said a couple weeks ago they should go after Breece Hall. We also have to remember, though, that Andy Reid and Bethpage are as good as anybody at this. They understand because they've been working together so long. They've been in the NFL for so long. But a lot of times you see bad teams or desperate teams trade away draft picks because they're desperate. Remember when the Jets went out and got Devontae Adams? I came right on here and said that's not going to do anything. If you're a bad team and you trade for a receiver, that doesn't fix anything. Right. The Chiefs are obviously a good team and a good run organization, but they also have to be careful because they need those draft picks. Going into next year's draft, they probably need one more offensive lineman. Kelsey's going to retire. They got to find a running back. Defensively, Chris Jones is getting older. Yep. They need another defensive back and really a pass rusher. So they've got 6 positions they got to address next year's draft. So you got to be a little bit careful of what do you give away now compared to the future. And like I said, the good thing for Andy Reid and Bethpage is they both understand short-term and long-term goals.
Right.
Whereas other coaches and GMs, they get desperate and they do stupid things. But I do think the Chiefs got to look at for a running back, though.
Yeah, and those two are not worried about their jobs. I mean, that's the other thing. They know unless things go completely and utter haywire, they will still be in their job in 5 years. I mean, that's just as long as they want that job, they can have that job for 5 more years. So they aren't trying to save their job or I have to win right now. And just in the back of their head, they have to know, hey, we have Mahomes signed for a long time. So, yes, our window is right now, but our window also is for the next 6, 7, 8 years with Mahomes. So we can't mortgage everything right now to win right now. And then in 4 years when Mahomes is still in his prime, we're bad. We can't be bad with Mahomes. As long as we have a chance to get to the Super Bowl, we're playing an AFC championship game. It is what it is. If we're lacking a little bit this year in running back, it is what it is.
Yeah, and also if you trade for a running back, it also depends on his contract. Are you going to have to give him an extension? And what's the draft compensation? Are you giving away a 5th, 6th, 7th? That's a lot different than giving away a 3rd. So that'll depend on it. But yeah, I think they got to keep looking for a running back. We'll see how the next week or two go for him. Maybe they'll start to establish some sort of running game now that Xavier is back. And when Rice comes back, maybe that'll open up the running game a little bit. But they got to be looking for one still, I think, because their running game is still non-existent pretty much.
Oh, sounds good. All right, Trev, wrap up tonight. We're just over an hour. We seem to hit that stride. We're right about an hour every week. And
let's quick on the WNBA. And if he's
okay, yep. I do want to. Yeah, good. Let's talk that for 5 minutes here.
She came out and basically gave a bunch of information that she had with Kathy Engelbert, and I've told you since last year and coming in this year, Kathy needed to go. She's just not the right type of commissioner. Again, a Mickey Mouse run league ran by a Mickey Mouse commissioner. She came out and put out a statement that seemed pretty weak. You wondered if Nafisa Collier kind of, exaggerate a little bit on those comments or things that were said. Probably a little bit,
right.
But I believe some of it. We saw Kathy hanging out with the players in the tunnel at the All-Star game, just kind of acted like a fool that you don't see other commissioners doing. And before the season started, she had some big article written about how she had done all these successful things, what she probably have, but I would have waited another year on that to let that out. Let's make a profit first before we start patting ourselves on the back. So, yeah, I do think there's a lot of truth to what Nafisa Collier was saying, even if some of it was exaggerated a little bit.
Well, and the biggest thing is the officiating has to be fixed. Every single coach, every single game, whether they win or lose, whines about the officiating. So they need to pay them better or just whatever they have to do, that has to get fixed. It just has to. You don't have an option. Whether she's in charge or whoever is in charge of that, that has to be fixed.
Yeah, the refs have been terrible all year, and then last year it's been that way for a while. They're finally starting to speak up. I mean, it's nice that finally someone came up and said something about it. The coaches and the players, of course, and mentioning Caitlin Clark's name in there as well. I mean, a hell of a job by the Fever. They almost won last night in overtime. They had no bench left. Kelsey Mitchell left the game. I mean, it's one of the best runs probably that the WNBA has seen by a team that everybody is just injured. And if they can bring Kelsey Mitchell back, because I believe she signed a 1-year deal like a lot of players did this offseason because they wanted to only sign 1-year deals since the new CBA is coming up. They didn't want to get locked in since they're going to be able to make more money going into next year. But assuming that they can bring Kelsey Mitchell back and most of the core players, of course, Fever are going to be a really tough out. I mean, it's a super impressive job that they were overtime away from the WNBA finals, given all the injuries.
Yeah, they have five people that are no longer able to play season ending. And then obviously the DeWanna Bonner situation. Mitchell proved, she's been there the longest out of the kind of the core group there. Her and Boston, led that team of players that played most every game. Still healthy enough. I believe Kelsey Mitchell I came down with rhabdo or whatever. Just made you think about the Hawkeyes. You kind of just smirked there with the Hawkeyes, but that just shows how hard she had to go, and they needed every second she was able to give them, and almost enough, but just not quite.
Yeah, almost enough, and not just quite. Yeah, everything that the Fever had to deal with all year. It's Stephanie White. I mean, she should be coach of the year. Just getting them in the playoffs, first of all, she probably deserved that award. So, yeah, the lockout's coming. I think even if the WNBA gave them a percentage that they wanted, like gave them what they were asking for, I still think there's going to be a lockout. I think they want a lockout. They want the attention, which there's good and bad to that. So, yeah, Kathy's she's on the hot seat. She should be. Again, I've been saying since last year, it's a Mickey Mouse league with Mickey Mouse leadership, Mickey Mouse refs. We'll see how much gets changed, though, going into next season.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, it's just amazing. If everything that was said is 100% true, which I'm sure it's not. It's probably 90% true. It's just amazing the short-sightedness of the WNBA. And I have not read it yet. Have you read the Christine Brennan book about Caitlin Clark?
No, I know when it came out a few months ago, I listened to her on a bunch of different podcasts and shows that she was going around promoting it. I still need to buy that. But, yeah, I mean, probably 90% of what was said I would assume is true, just like you said there, because you could tell the WNBA did not want to embrace Caitlin Clark. They didn't see the tidal wave coming. There's been a bunch of screenshots that she's got more followers than all of the WNBA platforms do, so there's that. I mean, Caitlin was making a ton of money before she came into the WNBA, and the arrogance that the WNBA and Kathy have shown as a commissioner, it's pretty evident through 2 seasons. So I would assume a lot of what Collier was saying was probably true, though.
I 100% agree. And, her coach felt – I don't like her coach. Her coach was one of the biggest advocates for not having Caitlin Clark in the Olympics, and just she needed to earn it and everything. But she sacrificed her team and herself to hopefully better the WNBA in general, to getting, Kathy fired / the attention that things have to change. It's just that simple.
Yeah, it does. Kathy Engelbert's she's a weak commissioner. Her seat is hot like it should be, and hopefully they get her out of there and get someone in like we've talked about before. I don't care if it's man or woman, from the NBA, MLB, NFL, whoever. It needs to be strong leadership, and need to respect Caitlin Clark and the young players, but they also need to get the players in line a little bit. We've talked about that before. Got to get the rest fixed. This is a broken league, as we know. It's going to take more than 1 or 2 years to get it fixed, but now's a good opportunity to get the right person in there, though.
All right, Trev, we'll be back next week, hopefully talking about a Cyclone win, a big win on the road. Any road win in a Big 12 environment or conference environment, doesn't matter what conference you're in. A conference road win is always good, and they got 2 of them coming up here. And hopefully by Wednesday next week, we should know whether Gronowski looks like he's going to play tonight or not. We won't know 100% for sure, I don't think. Coaches aren't just that forthright unless he's not playing. They might come out and say, yeah, he's not playing. But there'll probably be, a situation where it's day-to-day looking good, or, he's had a step back or whoever it is. But hopefully we'll have more clarity on him. Hawkeyes with essentially a must-win, as you put it, and then Cyclones on the road at Colorado, and that's one that they're expecting to win. Colorado's not super, but anything on the road with Dion, just it's never dull, and you need to play well out there as well.
Nope, you said it best, and go Cubs and go Red Sox tomorrow.
Yeah, I'd say every game, every series is going to a game 3. The Dodgers and Reds, I do not know the score right now.
I'm looking right now for you. Dodgers are up 7-2, top of the 7th. Okay. So it looks like they're probably. Well, it looks like we're going to at least have. Well, for sure, going to have 3 winner-take-all games tomorrow.
Yep, just 3, and the Dodgers. They just kind of go through the motions for the first 3 quarters of the season. Last 20 days or month or so, they've been pretty darn good, and they've looked really good so far through two games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've got a futures bet on Cleveland, the Cubs, and the Brewers. So I'm hoping obviously that that Cleveland and the Cubs can win tomorrow, yep. And then of course I got the Brewers that are already they're just waiting for their opponent. So I've got a few futures just because playoff baseball is fun to watch. But yeah, tomorrow I'm going to try to catch the last 2 innings of the Cubs game since it starts early out here, and then of course for the Cubs Yankees I'll be or the Yankees game I'll be rooting for the Red Sox.
Yep. Yeah, it was interesting. I talked to a few people out there in Vermont, and there's still a lot of Yankee. I figured they'd all be Boston fans, but there's still a lot of Yankee fans there, even though they are closer to Boston. But it's not that far to New York either, actually.
Yeah, and you mentioned Montreal. I mean, that's a team that really nobody's. They're not getting the attention, of course, because they're not here in the States, and the Yankees and Red Sox and Dodgers and Cubs get all the attention. But that's another team that's had a hell of a season, though.
Yeah, the Blue Jays are –
or Toronto, I mean, sorry.
Yeah, but Montreal, so I wonder – that'd be an interesting question is, are they Nationals fans, the ones that used to be the Expo fans, or did they just go find a new team?
Yeah, that'd be a good question. No, baseball playoffs are fun. I don't watch much of the regular season, but right. The playoffs are good. I watched the end of that game here tonight between the Red Sox and the Yankees. I was hoping the Red Sox could pull it off, but we'll see what happens tomorrow.
Yep. All right. We'll talk to you later, Trev.
All right. Have a good one.